Hi children, welcome to GNANA DEEKSHA concept based digital learning. I am Lakshman Kollu, PGD in Social Studies, working in TSWREIS School and Junior College for Boys, Chilpur, Rangareddy. I am happy to extend my warmest wishes to all of you on the beginning of the new academic year. Children, you might have listened and seen different elections conducted in your locality. And you might have observed that your parents, family members, relatives, and neighbors cast their votes in different elections. Children, today you will learn about the election process in India. Children, by the end of this chapter, you will be able to know the election system in India, understand the powers and functions of the Election Commission of India, explain the code of conduct in elections, understand the voting mechanism, need for elections in India, election system in India, the Election Commission of India, autonomous status for Election Commission, the Chief Election Commissioner, recommendations of T.N. Seshan, the former Chief Election Commissioner of India, functions of the Election Commission, political parties in elections, the code of conduct, conducting rallies and public gatherings, ruling party at the time of elections, conduct of elections at various levels, voting mechanism, general elections, midterm elections, and by-elections, nota, none of the above, the need for electoral reforms, and postal ballot. The first subtopic is need for elections in India. Elections are the most powerful tool of indirect democracy since they encourage citizens to elect their representatives. People will choose who is going to shape the government and make important decisions. They will choose the party whose policies will guide the making of government and law. Elections provide us with a peaceful transition of power from one form of government to another if they are dissatisfied. Elections guarantee that no government is elected for an indefinite period of time and thus becomes tyrannical. Elections encourage citizens to engage in their country's affairs while still remaining politically active and alert. It forces the political workers to act for the people's well-being. The next subtopic is election system in India. India is a vast and the second largest populous country in the world. For a country of such scale, it's impossible for all the people to gather and to take decisions. As India is the largest democratic country, elections are required to lay a strong basis for democratic values. The Election Commission of India conducts elections in our country. The Election Commission of India frames a code of conduct to all political parties. It declares the results of elections and submits to the central or state authority concerned. The next subtopic is the Election Commission of India. The Election Commission of India came into existence on 25th January 1950. It is an autonomous constitutional body. It prepares electoral rolls and conducts elections to Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, state legislature bodies, the President of India and the Vice President of India. The Election Commission announced 25th January 2011 as First Voters Day by celebrating Diamond Jubilee on completion of 60 years of its formation. The next subtopic is autonomous status for Election Commission of India. It's very difficult to conduct elections in India due to huge population. 14% of the Indian population had right to vote during the British rule. The first general elections were held in India in 1952. The number of voters then were 17.32 crore. As per the Article 324(6) of the Constitution of India, the Election Commission utilizes the services of the central government and state governments employees with the permission of the President of India and the governors of all the states, as it has no separate staff. The Election Commission has a complete control over the government employees during election. The next subtopic is the Chief Election Commissioner, CEC. The Chief Election Commissioner, CEC, is the head of the Election Commission of India. The Commissioner has vested powers to conduct various elections for central and state legislatures in a smooth and fair manner. The Chief Election Commissioner is usually from Indian Civil Services. The tenure of the Commissioner is 6 years or up to 65 years of age, whichever is earlier. Earlier, the Election Commission of India had only one commissioner. From 1993 onwards, it has one Chief Election Commissioner and 2 election commissioners. The present Chief Election Commissioner of India is Sushil Chandra, and he is the 24th Chief Election Commissioner of India. Children, the next subtopic is the recommendations of P.N. Seshan, the former Chief Election Commissioner of India. The Election Commission of India plays an important role in our political system. The former Chief Election Commissioner of India, Sri T.N. Seshan, who assumed the office from 1990 to 1996, took drastic measures to eradicate corruption in the elections of our country. During his time, the Election Commission got great recognition to its powers. 14 days of time limit is fixed for campaigning after the withdrawal of nomination. One candidate should not contest from more than 2 constituencies at a time. The contesting candidates are barred from elections for the next 6 years if any candidate is punished by law for 2 years. The election shall be postponed but not to be abolished if the contesting candidate expires. After completion of campaign, sale of liquor shall be banned for 48 hours. The next subtopic is functions of the Election Commission. Children, Article 324, Part 15 of the Constitution of India states the formation, powers and functions of the Election Commission of India. The functions of the Election Commission are classified into 3: administrative functions, advisory functions, and quasi-judicial functions. Children, let us see the administrative functions of Election Commission. The Election Commission prepares the electoral rolls and revises them in due time. The Election Commission demarcates the constituencies and their territorial limits as per the Delimitation Commission. The Election Commission of India announces the schedule of elections. It receives nominations, scrutinizes, and finalizes the list of contesting candidates. The Election Commission of India gives recognition to the political parties and allots the symbols to them. It frames and implements the code of conduct to be followed by the parties during elections. The Election Commission of India appoints observers to observe electoral malpractices during elections. Let us see the advisory functions of Election Commission of India. The Election Commission advises the President of India and the governors of all the states regarding the disqualification of the representatives to the Parliament and the state legislatures. And the next functions of Election Commission of India are quasi-judicial functions. The Election Commission solves the disputes between political parties. At this time, the Election Commission of India acts like a quasi-judicial authority. The next subtopic is political parties in elections. Every political party should register and get recognized by the Election Commission of India. Symbols are allotted to parties by the Election Commission of India. Political parties are declared by the Election Commission as national or regional parties. National party, a party which is recognized in 4 states with 6% of valid votes or 11 Lok Sabha seats from 4 different states is called a national party. Regional party, a party which wins 3% of valid votes or 3 assembly seats in a state is called regional party. The next subtopic is elections, the code of conduct. The code of conduct comes into effect after announcement of schedule of elections. Contesting candidates should abide by the rules and regulations of the Election Commission of India. Disciplinary action will be initiated if rules are violated and malpractices are taken place. Code of conduct. The contesting candidates and political parties shall not make any statements pertaining to caste, creed, religion or region, etc. No personal comments shall be made that are not relevant to political life. Political announcements should not be made targeting a caste or religion. Children, no candidate should campaign in holy places like churches, temples, mosques, and educational institutions. Candidates should not influence the voters by giving cash or any articles. No voter should be used to cast his or her vote in others' identity. Campaign should not be done within 100 meters on the day of polling. Campaigning should be stopped after or before the permitted hours. Political parties should not get the voters to the polling station or drop the voters from the polling station. Rallies and picketing should not be held in residential areas. Candidates should take prior permission from the police for rallies, gatherings, and loudspeakers. Writing on the walls, pasting posters, posting party flags, tying banners, etc. on the houses are not allowed without permission. The next subtopic is conducting rallies and public gatherings. The political parties should inform the police and obtain prior permission to conduct public gatherings. They should also inform the police the time and place of gathering to make arrangements to protect the law and order and also to control the traffic movement. The contesting candidates should also find out if any prior instructions are there in the place of gathering. They must take prior permission to use loudspeakers and they should not attack on the people if they are obstructed by them. The next subtopic is on the day of polling. Children, on the day of the polling, all arrangements will be made to the voters to cast their votes in a democratic and peaceful atmosphere by the polling personnel. The contesting candidates and the leaders of the political parties should cooperate the polling personnel to discharge their duties. The polling agents will be issued identity cards to sit in the polling station and the names of the parties or symbols will not be seen on the cards. The campaign should end before 48 hours of the day of polling. SMSs are prohibited and alcohol should not be distributed. The contesting candidates and their supporters should not gather in a large number near the polling station. Nobody should hold any posters, flags, symbols, etc. near the polling station. The next subtopic is ruling party at the time of elections. There is a chance to the ruling party to influence the voters by misusing their powers. The Election Commission of India laid down some rules and regulations to put check to the ruling party during elections. They are: the ruling party leaders should not misuse the power and they should not use bureaucracy for party related works. Leaders should not mingle official and party related visits. Government vehicles should not be used for campaigning. The election expenditure will come into force soon the election schedule is issued. Government offices and places shall not be used for campaign. Advertisements shall not be given on government schemes in print media or in electronic media. The political parties should obtain permission from the Election Commission of India before giving announcements on television. Ruling government shall not release any schemes or grants after the election notification is issued. The next subtopic is conduct of elections at various levels. The elections at state level are conducted by the Chief Electoral Officer CEO and he will assist the Election Commission of India. He is appointed by the Election Commission of India after consulting the state government and this does not have a constitutional status. Usually, the senior most IAS officer will be appointed as Chief Election Officer CEO. Elections to the Parliament and Assembly in the state are monitored by the CEO. The district collector will act as chief election officer at district level. The election in every constituency is conducted and monitored by the returning officer RO, who is appointed by the Election Commission of India. The candidate who is supported by a political party is called as party candidate. The candidates other than political parties are called independent. The returning officer RO scrutinizes the nominations and declares the list of contesting candidates. He conducts elections and declares the winning candidates. The same procedure is followed for conducting elections to the Parliament, state assemblies, and local self-governing bodies. The next subtopic is voting mechanism. The chief election officers in the districts make elaborate arrangements to conduct the polls. The polling personnel, as presiding officer and polling officers, are deputed by them to every polling station to conduct the polls. On the day of polling, the Election Commission will appoint observers to monitor the polls. All the voters whose names are enrolled in the list of voters are allowed to cast their votes. Children, the polling agents who are appointed by the contesting candidates will assist the polling staff to identify the voters. The voters who enter into the polling station will be applied indelible ink to the left forefinger after identification and before they cast their vote. Swastik mark shall be applied on the ballot papers if electronic voting machines are not used. After casting the votes, the ballot papers are folded in the proper manner and put into the ballot box. After the completion of polling, ballot boxes or electronic voting machines are sealed and brought to counting centers. Counting of votes is done at counting centers. After counting, the candidates who secures highest number of votes is declared as elected. The next subtopics are general elections, midterm elections, and by-elections. General elections are conducted for every 5 years at national and state level. Midterm elections. If the elections are held for either parliament or assembly before completion of 5 years, they are called midterm elections. By-elections. The elections conducted for one or more vacancies are termed as by-elections. The next subtopic is nota, none of the above. Nota was introduced in 2013 on the basis of the judgment given by the Supreme Court in the case of People's Union of Civil Liberties. Nota is a part of the freedom of expression as stated by Supreme Court. It was first introduced in the state assembly elections held in New Delhi, Mizoram, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. Nota is an option and it does not affect either the winning or the losing capability of the candidates. Even though the highest number of votes are polled for Nota, the candidate who secures second position would be declared win. The next subtopic is the need for electoral reforms. It's a great work to conduct elections in our country, as India is the second most populous country in the world. The political parties in our country promise to give good governance, the eradication of poverty, and socio-economic equality. But some politicians who have corrupted background adopt some illegal practices in the elections to manage the voters. Such illegal and malpractices disturb the smooth functioning of democracy. Though there are some problems, many sincere and dedicated politicians made our democratic system proud. There are multiple issues trouble the electoral process in India, like money power, muscle power, criminalization of politics, misuse of government machinery, casteism, communalism, lack of moral values in politics, etc. So the electoral reforms are required to curb such issues and for conducting of elections and functioning of democracy in a smooth way. The next subtopic is postal ballot. The Election Commission of India facilitated with postal ballot (PB) to the polling staff who have deputed for duties as they have no scope to cast their vote. The polling staff utilize their right to vote before the commencement of the polling day with ballot paper. The election authorities send the postal ballot to the staff to their respective places. Children, in conclusion, so far you have learnt the election system in India, the powers and functions of the Election Commission of India, the recommendations of T.N. Seshan, the former Chief Election Commissioner of India, the Code of Conduct of Elections, conduct of elections at various levels, nota, none of the above, postal ballot, etc. Children, now take assessment. List out the names of all national parties and some regional parties. Appreciate the role of Election Commission of India in conducting smooth and fair elections in our country. Give some suggestions on electoral reforms. Children, attempt the following. The Election Commission of India came into existence in this year. The options are 1952, 1950, 1956 and 1947. This party is a nation party among the following. Options are TRS, YSRCP, BJP and DMK. By this age, you will get right to vote. The options are 21 years, 18 years, 20 years and 25 years. This statement is true with regard to none of the above nota. The options are affects winning candidates, affects losing candidates, affects the board, does not affect the board. The tenure of the Chief Election Commissioner is, options are 6 years or up to 65 years of age, 5 years or up to 65 years of age, 6 years and 5 years. Thank you.